Hello and welcome to Inside Cottonwood. Today I'm your host, Richard Faust, Community Services General Manager for the City of Cottonwood. And I'm very fortunate today to have both Al Hilberger with us as we're going to be discussing the Mickelsen Memorial Marathon, as well as the marathon programs and all of the run race programs that will be on April 18th. And so we've got a lot coming up here for this month, but we decided to focus in on the Mickelsen Marathon and the Mickelsen Memorial as to what it stands for, where we're at. We're also fortunate to have Ryan Bigelow with us today, the Recreation Center Services Supervisor, and how Ryan actually affects and promotes and markets, as well as does everything behind the scenes with the Mickelsen program and this memorial that we have. I wanted to basically take the time out and identify that we do this each year. We kind of the program continually evolves, and as the program evolves, our personnel also have to evolve with it. And so this is some of the things that we do. We enjoy what we do, but there's a lot of behind-the-scenes programming that takes place. So both of these gentlemen, good morning to you both, and it's good to have you here. I wanted to start things off, and I know we've always talked about Brian Mickelsen and who Brian was, and I wanted to do the same thing today as we look at this as a memorial. And Brian was my boss for a long time, since 1990 all the way through to his passing in 2007. And he was the city manager for Cottonwood for a long time. He was an avid runner, cyclist, hockey player, soccer coach. I assisted Brian with coaching soccer for youth for 2 to 3 years. It was a great time period. And he was a friend and wonderful, loving husband. And he immersed himself as a father into his sons' lives. And Brian passed away in August of 2007 on a training run just north of Cottonwood on an early Sunday morning. He actually had 4 passions in life, and I just thought they were incredible, as they were a reflection of who he was and how that internal compass guided him with those passions. There were his wife, his children, his love for running and physical activity. As he was kind of he was a mentor in a lot of different ways. He was a master of different, I would say, health and fitness programming, and as well as his life was very concentrated on both his wife and his family and his love for Cottonwood and the Verde Valley. So Brian was very beloved as a leader within our valley, and was able to really take our council in many different directions as a dynamic leader. So again, this is the reason why we have the Mickelsen Marathon and the Mickelsen Memorial, so it's a great program. Wanted to kind of start the program out today and talk to Ryan here as the recreation end of things and how things kind of maneuver through. And Ryan, we delve into the marathon aspect of this event, and what can you tell us about the series of run programs that the city offers on April 18th this year?
Well, first I want to thank you for talking a little bit about Brian, because I know as we progress, it's the year 7, you know, we get farther and farther away from the reason that we're doing this. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and we never want to forget exactly why we're doing this.
That's right.
So, that's important. We have 4 events now. You know, this has, as like you've been talking about, has evolved. 3 years ago, we added a marathon. We also have a half marathon. We have a 10K and a 2 mile. So what we like to promote this as something that you don't have to be a marathon runner to participate. You can do this at any level. We encourage people to walk, to run, to get out. Physical fitness, health and well-being, that's what we're all about. So if you can't do a 10K, if you can't do a half marathon, try the 2 mile. Then maybe the next year you can continue to grow. So just like we're trying to do, we try to encourage our participants to grow too.
That's it. And yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. I know, tell our viewers what they'll experience while running these courses. And I know that we've got 4 different course areas, and you know, especially the beauty of Sycamore Canyon area if you're doing a marathon, or even the half marathon areas, and the 10K goes up into Dead Horse Ranch area. Sure. Tell us a little bit about that in Old Town.
We think that the courses are kind of the heart and soul as it goes from a running standpoint. They're very unique. The marathon's going to take you on some trail, inside some state parks, inside some national forest land. There's a lot of different organizations that are involved in this because of that. You know, so we go out and we talk to all of them. We let them know we're coming through. But Tuzagut National Monument plays a role. Of course, Dead Horse Ranch State Park is heavily involved. When designing the course, it was all about showcasing what the Verde Valley has to offer. And I think encompassing all of that within a marathon, a half marathon course, I think they did a tremendous job. It's like a tourist experience while running. So that's the idea, is you can kind of get lost in your run, enjoy the scenery, and before you know it, you're done. Kind of.
Kind of. I know that, you know, being this is our 7th year, that we've held the Brian Mickelsen Marathon and Half Marathon program. I remember holding the first annual race, and it was it actually was a 10K and 2 mile, and the 2 miles a fun run. We called it the Verde Mingus Blowout, and we actually started this program in 1992, and so we again, it has evolved all of these years. It went down Main Street through Old Town and onto the Tuzagut Road, and we turned it back around, and then it went back into the Riverfront Park, where it was our main staging area. And we didn't have computers to actually run the program back in those days, and it was the old-fashioned methodology. And if you guys ran back in those days, you would remember, and a lot of you do remember, we used timing clocks, but primarily everything was done through stopwatch. And I remember as we started things out, it was incredible to watch people start across, but then we had so many volunteers at the end. And the problem is when all of the runners bunched together, everybody would say, oh no, they're all bunched, because you had all of the volunteers then trying to grab and pull off the numbers as they're running across, and people are then trying to tag along with the individuals, and it was that way. How have things changed technologically in today's world? Because I know that I saw you working on the computer today, and it was involving the Brian Mickelsen, and you were on maps. Yeah. And tell us about all of this.
So technology has definitely changed how we do this event from a programming standpoint. And now at this point, we go to a third party to actually time the race for us. They use chip timing, so it's all done through satellites and GPS, and they can track people where they're at. They will cross the finish line, it'll have a little beep, and it'll show up instantly. Their time will be posted on a flat screen HD TV.
It's come a long way.
So yeah, we're no longer pulling tabs or anything like that. It's all done through chip timing. And then as far as actually marking the course, I was on Google Earth this morning. We are mapping it all out through Google Earth. So I am on the course, but at the same time, I'm right in front of my desk and looking on the computer. So we do a lot of verifying that way, making sure all of our mile markers are going to be in the appropriate locations. The course is certified, USATF certified, so we get exact GPS coordinates from them as to exactly where each mile marker should go. We plug that into the computer. We take a picture of it. We know exactly what we're looking for when we mark the course the morning of.
Wow. I mean, we're no Brian Mickelsen. I mean, we're no Boston Marathon, or we're no New York Marathon. We're the Brian Mickelsen, but it's one of those things. They use pretty much the same technology now that we use.
Yeah, we're not too far behind in any of those aspects, and we're not the Boston Marathon, but we are a Boston Marathon qualifier, being USATF certified. If they do well enough, we do submit your results to the qualification committee, and we are used as a qualifier. So
that's great.
We are not the Boston Marathon. we're a cousin.
There you go. Well, Ryan, tell us what you enjoy most about this program, a special event, and what is your primary duty during the race day?
What I enjoy most is seeing people cross the finish line. I know what kind of dedication people put into training for something like this, even if it's the 2 mile, even if it's the 10K, you know, there's a distance for everybody. Seeing people reach their goals is exactly what I love about it, and being able to be a part of that. I guess that kind of goes along with our mission, what we're trying to do as Parks and Recreation as an organization. Everything we do is around health, wellness, life balance, making the good life better, you know, and that's part of what we're doing. This is just a piece of that puzzle, you know, with the Recreation Center, with the Bicycle Advisory Committee, with the special event programming that we do. It's all about making the people who live in this community, making their lives just a little bit better.
Well, tell us how long you prepare for something like this. I mean, you know, I know that you work full-time as a recreation supervisor in the recreation center. You have a multitude of duties in the recreation center. You also have the sports programs, all the youth sports programs. You have adult sports programming, softball. You take care of a lot of the different tournament activities with the Little League and assist them and work with them. You also work with the Public Works Department with all of those programming. You know, I mean, how do you find time to do all of this? And it's like, how do you prepare for an event like this one typically?
Good thing we're in year 7, I guess I could say,
yes.
Because you know, so a lot of this stuff is repeating a lot of, you know, reaching individuals, talking. We've already established a lot of the contacts that we need to make. We know how a lot of this stuff is going to run. Finding time for anything is difficult these days. You know, with the new addition, we've got a lot going on. So. I rely heavily on a lot of support. There's a lot of support staff. There is, this is kind of an all hands on deck event. Everybody who works with Parks and Recreation has a hand in this. They're all being helpful. They're all helping make this happen. And then of course there's volunteers. So it's definitely not just me. I've got a lot of help, and I rely on that help.
That's good. I know that you know, definitely we need volunteer support. We need that help as well, and we'll be going into a little bit more of that as we take a break right now, and we'll look into this a little bit more into the second segment as we get together with Al a little bit more. So we're going to take that break right now, and thank you for joining us for Inside Cottonwood. I'm Richard Faust, Community Services General Manager for the City of Cottonwood, and your host today.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund breeding.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Information on hot water heating.
No. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out the words.
World music, playing track now.
No.
Let me try. Our daughter gets confused about which details in a story are important.
Which paper towels are most absorbent?
What?
Here are 5 product reviews.
Why are you not getting me?
See, I told you.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Welcome back to Inside Cottonwood. I'm Richard Faust, Community Services General Manager for the City of Cottonwood, and your host today. And we're very fortunate once again to have Al Hilberger, who is kind of a, he does half marathons, and he's a triathlete, and he also is kind of our go-to guy on so many different things, and working at the rec center also as well. I don't know how you find time to do everything that you're doing, but I wanted to kind of get a little bit of background. You know, I think your perspective as well, and you can tell kind of a little bit more about what you do as we go through some of these questions. And I wanted to ask you today, you know, as you've participated and work in the event, how many times have you run in the Brian Mickelsen Memorial?
I've done the Brian Mickelsen 3 times, always the 10K route.
All right.
Before I started working for the city, and then working the events.
Okay. And now, have you run the half marathon here yet?
I have not done the one here. I've done other events.
So you've done half marathons elsewhere,
Yes.
Then. And where have you run half marathons?
Phoenix, mainly Arizona.
Okay. So you have you have a background in a lot of different things. Now, you did triathlon as well. And,
yeah, that's my main focus.
That's your main focus. Yeah. But I mean, every time I see you, you're either on a bike, and you're on a bicycle, you're riding, you're running, you're doing stuff. Sometimes you're even with Ryan doing things.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You know, so you guys keep up
motivate
with one
each
another.
other.
That's it. Can you tell us? You know, I think about running and the 10K experience and doing half marathons or triathlons. How do you discipline your mind? Because man, the mind-body thing, I've never been able to kind of grasp that. When I run, I just kind of go, oh crud, you know, I'm going to have a blowout on my right side or whatever. But you know, my mind just doesn't coordinate totally well with my body sometimes. So how do you do that?
I think that's the biggest portion of it is the mind over the body. And
right.
people would surprise themselves on what they could actually push themselves through and get through.
So you're pushing yourself through some of the pain issues,
Oh, yeah.
but you're also but you're enjoying yourself too.
Of course,
yeah,
of course.
And you were indicating that it's quite an experience and a challenge. As we were talking, beforehand, the challenge is always there, and it's kind of enthusiastic. And you get done running like a triathlon or whatever, and you say, "Wow, I'm going to do that again next year."
Right.
Why is that? How do you do that?
It's pushing through that pain and coming out of it on the other end and crossing the finish line and
right.
realizing you can get through that. You can do better next time. You can shave time off, and
okay.
It's always trying to improve.
So you were talking about progression,
yes.
and you do a progression running stage. So you start off and you do a 10K. You're now working into the half marathons. Actually, you're running half marathons now. Will Al Hilberger ever run a full marathon? And right now, you're kind of be putting on the spot.
It's definitely on my bucket list.
It's on your bucket list.
And a full Ironman. So,
okay,
yeah.
A full Ironman.
Wow. It's definitely on the bucket list. So.
Okay, all right. So what is that passion that drives you personally?
I think it was I always tried to stay fit, having kids. And putting on weight, and it just progressed from there. And I set myself a goal that I wanted to do my first triathlon when I turned 40.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of what started the whole thing, and just committed to doing the training. And that's, I did a half marathon leading up to that, and other running events, and of course the cycling and swimming and stuff, and Mickelsen stuff thrown in, and just pushing through it, pushing through it.
So having kids and gaining weight, is that something that Ryan's going to experience here in a little bit? Because he's just now had his second and has a newborn at the house, so I'm just kind of wondering about Ryan here.
Ryan also has the age working to his advantage. So.
Okay.
But just setting that goal, signing up for an event is incredible motivation.
So how did you start out running? I mean, was this something in high school, college, or later on in life?
I did a little bit in high school. Would go out on runs just because, and of course, they're trying to stay fit after having some foot problems and things like that, doing research. Everything is research, and changing cadence and changing form and things like that. So it is more comfortable, it's more enjoyable. And of course, getting on a good training program. It all depends on how you want to finish.
Right.
Do you want to suffer through it, or do you want to enjoy it and finish strong? So that's how it's all laid out time-wise.
Okay.
In your training.
So now, do you have now you said you researched. Is there also a mentor that you had, or
friends growing up, people I work with, people that have suffered through disease, whatever.
Oh, okay.
If they can go through that, me being in a little bit of pain going through a run or a cycling event is nothing.
Nothing compared to what they've gone through.
Right.
Yeah.
So just dig deep sometimes in those thoughts and
That's good
push
idea.
it through.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So what do you enjoy most about the BMM?
I think it's the whole. I love the Verde Valley, and you get to see all of it during that race in all aspects of the distances, and down at Riverfront Park and going into Dead Horse State Park and Sycamore Canyon and everything. It's beautiful.
So what surprised you about the BMM when you started working the event personally?
How much work goes into these events.
Wow, yeah.
And it's given me a whole new respect for other events that I do, and I'm thanking people along the way and everything else. And it's not just day of, it's month leading up, 2 weeks out, a week out.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
So you get both perspectives, which is really kind of unique. So you're in a unique position. You do triathlons, you do half marathons, 10Ks, you're a runner, you're a cyclist, you do all of this. And now you work behind the scenes. I think that these programs take a lot of time to set up and tear down. Did anything in particular surprise you when you started working the event?
I try to go out in the morning, early morning before the race starts. I kind of take over on the marathon course, check mile markers, stuff like that. As far as vandals, moving mile markers, and able to check that and move things back. Things like that, just kind of being aware of everything going on and make sure it's run good.
So have you been in any incidents that you were able to take care of without the participants knowing?
You know, Ryan's so passionate about the race, and I just take that attitude like all hands on deck, and whether it's an aid station needing more cups or Gatorade or water, and you just take over. No questions asked. You just take care of stuff, and I think there's a lot of stuff like that that the participants don't see. But as long as it's run well for them and those things are available to them, then they're happy. You know? Well,
I know that we've got some changes a little bit, minute changes. We'll be going in with Ryan a little bit more here in the third segment as to kind of what some of those are. But you know, I think that that's what people don't understand is when they are actually running and involved in these, they don't see a lot of the behind the scenes. They don't understand the integral processing that takes place. And you know, I've watched Ryan, and it takes him a long time in reality, spending time on the computer, going out there, you going out. You know, so we have a large contingent of individuals that work this event, and so it's rather a unique thing, but especially for a small community, because large communities, what they have is they actually, their departments oversee, but they don't really run them that much. Actually, what it is Mountain Dew or somebody as a big corporation will come in and say, hey, we're going to be doing this big, huge marathon run program, and it's going to be supporting cystic fibrosis and things of that nature. And all their Parks and Recreation departments really do is say, that's great, here, fill out these forms, and we have to have a certificate of liability and insurance and all of this and that, and that's pretty much it. And they schedule it, and it gets put on the map, and then it goes through their public safety program for the police department and fire department to know about it. But we do the actual stuff, and so we do the nitty gritty. We get right down into it. So, will you be working the event this year, or running, or doing both?
I'd really like to run it again, but I'm always there for Ryan if he needs help, and I'd like to do both. I know it's a large task for him, and if it helps him out and ease his mind on some things, and I'm there for him too. So.
Well, I know Ryan kind of does the same thing, because I know that in the Sedona Marathon, Ryan went over to, you know, at least provide information about the BMM, and so he was kind of an individual with a booth. But I think Ryan then changes into a Superman costume, and then away he runs. So I think that's part of it. So both you guys are pretty amazing. So I just wanted to go over that, and thank you again for all of the work that you both do on this. It's pretty incredible as to what our department will do. We're going to take another break here as we enter into our third segment about the Brian Mickelsen Memorial and the marathon and the half marathon, 10K and 2 mile. I'm your host today, Richard Faust, Community Services General Manager for the City of Cottonwood. We'll be back in a moment.
Cinderella found the pet that fits her perfectly. Tiana gave her pet the royal treatment. Belle found beauty where no one else did. And you can too. Share your heart. Share your love. Bring home your forever friend. Make a shelter pet part of your world. Happily Ever After begins at theshelterpetproject.org.
Thanks for coming in for the interview.
Oh, yeah, of course.
All right, we got your personal references, your resume, high school diploma or equivalent.
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
Yes, it's right there.
Great.
Take that first step towards a better future. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
And welcome back to Inside Cottonwood. I'm Richard Faust, your host today. I'm the Community Services General Manager for the City of Cottonwood, and we have with us this morning discussing the Brian Mickelsen Memorial and Marathon programming and the run race events, Al Hilberger, as well as Ryan Bigelow. And Ryan, let's get into sponsors right off the bat. Who helps and assists with this program?
Yeah, we can't forget that. You know, these things take a lot of effort. We talked about a lot of time. With time, there's also some money involved. So, of course, our sponsors help us out. A lot of in-kind donations and, of course, monetary donations. So we can't forget Verde Valley Medical Center, Northern Arizona Healthcare. They have contributed tremendously since the very beginning, and they also have allowed their staff to participate. So I want to thank them not only for being a monetary sponsor, but their staff is always there. Entire Care is there stretching people out, making sure they understand where they need to be as far as physical fitness and health. So their mission kind of ties in with our mission, so we make a great partnership, and we need to thank them for that. Cottonwood Taco Bell, the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce, Northern Arizona Rehab and Fitness, Mountain View Villa Apartments, of course, the City of Cottonwood, and Solomon has come back with some shoe donations and things like that. Pepsi also with a Gatorade donation. So there's a lot of different organizations involved, a lot of different sponsors involved. So we got to thank everybody who does that. So we appreciate that.
No, you know, I know that as we were talking about the leading up and the programming, the activities behind the scene, there's also the circumstances with this program, this race event actually goes across. You have a Pike County property. It also goes across Dead Horse Ranch State Park, so it's Arizona State Park property. There's a lot of involvement in there as well, right?
Permitting. You know, of course, Yavapai County, the National Forest, Tuzagut National Monument, the town of Clarkdale, they're heavily involved. So there's a lot of different organizations that not only need to be aware of what's going on, oftentimes there's a permit involved. So when you talk about a lot of the workup, a lot of it is administratively. You need to take care of all the business on the back end and make sure that, you know, that we've got everything taken care of for April 18th.
There's a lot of consideration there. We've got to take it all in stride. Now, we talk about volunteers, and we were mentioning that a little bit. Exactly what are their responsibilities, and do we need extra volunteers, and how many volunteers do we normally have on race day?
Sure. I was just going through, and last year we had 111 volunteers.
Wow.
So that number even blew me away. You know, it's an incredible amount of people. There's a lot of different organizations that get involved on the volunteer end. Typically, they're running a water station. We have 14 different water stations. Many of those groups have actually dedicated their time to come back annually. So when we talk about lead-up work, you know, we're recontacting a lot of those groups. It's really nice to have a lot of those folks back who understand what's going on. We have people help up with the bags, getting the items in the bags, handing out the bags the Friday before, setting up race day. So yes, there's always a need for volunteers. If anybody does want to volunteer, there's still plenty of time to contact me, and we can get that contact information and make sure that everybody knows that that's an option for them always.
They've got it up on the screen, which is 928-639-3200. That's our Parks and Recreation Rec Center, and Ryan can be reached there. And if you would like to volunteer and help and assist with this event, which we definitely need volunteers, so helping out on race day or even prior to is a great thing. So if you need to, please get in touch with us. When is the registration for the Brian Mickelsen, and how do people register?
So one of the things that was evolved is online registration is pretty heavy these days. So you can go to cottonwoodaz.gov. There's a Brian Mickelsen page, registration buttons all over the place. That goes through Active, and they'll register online, or you can register at the Cottonwood Recreation Center. You can register both up until April 15th. At that point, we cut off registration because we need to compile all the information, get everybody bib numbers, do all that, and then you can also register day of. We can get all that information from you the day of. I do recommend registering early. Prices end up being a little bit more reasonable for you. The earlier you register, the better the pricing.
Yeah, it's better to do it beforehand than race day.
Absolutely.
It always is, and all races are exactly the same thing. So what are the date and the time of the events throughout the day, and are there any other things going on throughout the day at Riverfront Park?
Yeah, it's April 18th. We've talked about 6 a.m. start time for the marathon, 7:30 for the half, 7:40 for the 10K, and 7:50 for the 2 mile. So we just pump them right out of there. It all starts and ends at Riverfront Park, so it's easy to get to. And then, you know, there's going to be a DJ this year playing music. We'll have food for the participants. So we try to create a little bit of an atmosphere down there at Riverfront Park, as opposed to, you know, thanks for running with us, it's all done. We'll have some music going. We'll have award ceremonies afterwards. So stick around if you think you placed. Stick around and hang out for that. If you're not sure, stick around anyways, because you never know.
Yeah, that's right.
You never know, and maybe have some food and listen to some music and just hang out and have a good day at the park.
Cool. And now, picking up their bags with bibs and T-shirts, where do they do that at?
Yeah, bag pickup, Cottonwood Recreation Center, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., Friday, April 17th.
Okay.
You can get all that stuff in advance, so then you can have your bib. You can just come straight to the start-finish line Saturday morning. That usually makes it a little bit more convenient. If you can't make it that Friday, which there will be plenty who can't, you can still pick up all your stuff Saturday morning. It just creates less rush for you Saturday morning if you can take care of all that on Friday.
Sure does. And what are the costs involved here?
Right now, you're looking at up until April 15th, the marathon is $80, the half marathon is $60, the 10K is $40, and the 2 mile is $25. So, and those will increase it by increments of about $10 for race day. So,
Okay.
like we said, try to register early, try to get those lower pricing, but you can still register race day if that's best in your best interest.
Okay, and we have, and there's age groups, categories, things of that nature. Can you explain those as well?
Yeah, we do awards for top 3 in each of the age groups, 1 through 17, then 18 through 25, and then at 5-year increments after that. So like we talked about, if you think you might have placed top 3 in your age group, stick around. We have medals for everybody in the top 3. We'll have some overall prizes too. That's what Solomon does. They're able to provide some shoes for some of the winners, some of the overall winners. And then runningonthewall.com also provides some of the prizes. So there's prizes for overalls, there's prizes for age groups, more incentive to stick around. More age groups there are, the more winners there are. So
That's right.
hang out.
That's good. All right, and now always returners. You know, that's one of the things. We have a lot of returnees every year, and the one thing in any race event, they want to know, are there any changes, you know, to the event this year? Has it evolved? You know, go over that a little bit. As the course changes, or, you know, shirt options, etc.
Yeah, this year is, you know, for as much as we have got going on, we actually implemented a lot of what we feel like are upgrades for the event. We made a minor course change. It's going to be a small change for the half marathon and the full marathon, but we think it's really going to improve the course itself. It's just a little loop in Dead Horse Ranch State Park that we're going to remove. We're going to take that distance and add it to the end of the Sycamore Canyon loop. Really simplifies the course for runners. When they're coming through, they're on mile 23, 24. Your brain's not necessarily into it. So we want to make it as simple as possible. We'll get you right out of Dead Horse and back to Riverfront Park, as opposed to making that last loop. So
awesome.
Small change for hopefully a big result. T-shirt options. Not only are there just men's T-shirts this year, you can get a women's cut T-shirt if you're a participant. So when you register, you can look at getting a women's cut T-shirt or a tank top even.
Oh, great news.
So we've advanced in that area. So it's not just, not that these are bad T-shirts, because we love them very much, and there's running T-shirts, but there's different options there too. So we're going to add pacers this year.
Okay.
They will be out there to, you know, if your goal is to run a 2-hour half marathon, for example, you'll be able to follow this individual, because you will know that this is your 2-hour pacer. You just follow them all the way through, and you can see where you're at as far as being in front of your pace and behind your pace. It really is helpful when you have that goal in mind of what your time what you want that time to be able to find that time.
All right. And I guess my further question is Lynn Mickelsen. Lynn's usually always around. She'll be there again this year, correct?
Absolutely, and we never want to forget too that Lynn remains heavily involved. You know, this is something that she really puts a lot of time and a lot of effort into. Really cares about this event. And Lynn has been nothing but wonderful to work with. 7 years now. It's crazy to think about, but of course, and she does that. She also does a raffle. She has been able to create a scholarship in Brian's name. She gives that out annually. She supports the Kiwanis with that, a scholarship in Brian's name. So it's been really nice to really get to know Lynn over the last few years, and to have her continue to be involved means a lot.
Right, it really does. We're going to end on that note. Again, I think the main thing is come out if you want to volunteer, come out if you're going to run. Race day events are incredible here in Cottonwood. The temperatures are wonderful as well. We have a great course. Come out and be a part of the Brian Mickelsen Memorial and the marathon events, and we hope that you have a great day. And if you're running, have a great race. Most of all, enjoy it, and as what Al had indicated, enjoy the very end. It's great, and come back again. We just want to thank you for being with us for Inside Cottonwood today. I'm your host, Richard Faust, Community Services General Manager for the City of Cottonwood.